All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn, at NBA Blackburn on Twitter. Very excited for this particular episode as we get to talk about Aaron Gordon. We get to talk about the Denver Nuggets winning a massive game 4 over the Los Angeles Clippers on the road to even up the series in buzzer beater fashion. Final score was 101-99, but this game had its ups, had its downs, had some moments where you thought, oh no, is this it? Is this the end? And Denver gets it done. Denver finds a way. Aaron Gordon finds a way. Nikola Jokic finds a way. Just a lot to love, a lot to like about where Denver is at now. Did not think that they had this in them in some ways, but glad to see that it was still there. Really glad. Like, this is one of those situations where you don't know what kind of team you're going to get. You don't know what kind of team is going to respond in this moment of adversity. And I put out a tweet a couple of days ago, basically right after game 3, I said it was going to be interesting to see which Nuggets were going to respond in this moment. And you had 2 in particular, actually, you know what, 3 in particular that I think deserve a ton of credit. Well, we'll say even 4. Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and Christian Braun. Jamal Murray had a bad game. No two ways about it. There were a couple of moments that he still did shine and still did make some plays. But I just thought that he wasn't great. And, like, look, sometimes you need somebody else to pick you up. And Denver got that from Jokic specifically in this one. But, of course, Aaron Gordon gets the big moment. Let's start with the big moment first. We'll start with the final couple of plays, actually. So Denver had a 20-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, and you thought, okay, this game's over. There's no way that the Clippers are going to come back from this one. Denver, all they need to do is just keep their foot down a little bit. And then the Clippers just kept chipping away. And it didn't matter that Jokic played the entire second half. It didn't matter that, like, Denver had their starters out there for pretty much the entire fourth quarter. The Clippers were still able to do it. And it made it very stressful for a whole heck of a lot of people. But Denver still had an opportunity to win at the end. Denver's down 97-96 in the final minute of the game. Nikola Jokic gets fouled, splits the free throws, and Kawhi Leonard comes down, takes a bad shot, I thought, against, I believe it was Jamal Murray. Bricks it, Denver gets the ball back, Jokic gets the ball in the post, and with about 16, 17 seconds left to go in the game, turns around, hits a massive Sombor shuffle in a huge moment to put the Nuggets up by 2. Big play, good opportunity for him, good opportunity for the Nuggets. All they need is one stop. They don't get it. James Harden throws up a floater prayer at the rim, doesn't go down, but Ivica Zubac, of course, in the right spot. And he makes the play to tip the ball in. Very impressive play with Jokic in front of him and Peyton Watson rear view contesting. And so Denver has 8 seconds left in the game. And you're thinking, okay, ball's going to go to Jokic. Just the question is where. And rather than mess around with trying to enter the ball into the post to him, the Nuggets just entered the ball at the top. And we're like, all right, right wing, Jokic, 30 feet away from the basket. We're going to see what you do. And he gets the ball. Murray exits. He gets out of the way. And Jokic, rather than try to get to the paint, rather than try to get to a post situation, he kind of sets up a move and then sprints away to the right wing and throws up a Sombor shuffle on that side of the floor for some reason, and not really sure why that was the decision that he made, but he airballed it so badly that Denver had one last opportunity to make a play, and who'd have thunk it, but Aaron Gordon in the right place at the right time gets it done, dunks the ball home, and in what can only be described as the closest review I think I've ever seen. It's a bang bang play, pretty easy to tell whether like okay, if he's got the ball touching his hand at any part at any part of the time, like it's going to be a no goal, going to be no basket. And the rules experts actually determined after that even if the ball was in the cylinder, even if it was in the cylinder all the way, like cross the threshold all the way, it didn't matter if Gordon was still touching it. He had to let it go. And there was exactly one frame, and I'm not kidding, one frame that determined from not even an angle that we saw during the review process, but it was an angle that the replay center got where they needed a little bit of extra help. They needed to see exactly where the ball was released. And Gordon had released it just in time. I am not kidding. There is one frame of distance. And for those that don't know, a frame they're recording in 30 frames per second. So 1/30th of a second was what separated Jokic from, or not Jokic, Aaron Gordon from winning that game with a dunk versus going to overtime. And holy cow, that's an insane thing to think about. That the margins in this series and in some of these games are so thin that it was 1/30th of a second that ultimately got the Nuggets this victory. Um, just an incredible moment. A lot of suspense. I thought that that game was going to overtime for sure, based off of when he got it, when the light came on. I really thought he was still touching it at that point, but the fact that he wasn't, just really, really impressive stuff. And I think an ode to Aaron Gordon. I'm gonna talk about AG for a little bit here. There'll be plenty of time to talk about Jokic, plenty of time to talk about Game Four. Aaron Gordon is one of those guys that you take for granted a lot. Like, just in the grand scheme of things, when you're trying to think about, as especially me as an analyst, trying to figure out, okay, well, you've got your main stars, you've got the guys that you're running pick and roll with, you've got the guys that, okay, you need your point of attack defenders, you need your rim defenders, you need, like, how are you building your team? What are you doing? And Gordon's just kind of there, like, okay, you're factoring him in. Obviously, he's very good. He's very talented. He's good at what he does. But the role that he plays on offense most of the time is it's self-described. He's the garbage man. He's the guy who stands in the corner, or he stands in the short corner and gets to dunk. He gets to be in the dunker. And I remember so vividly back in 2023 when Denver, I was in Miami. We're asking Aaron about his role on offense. He said it's the easiest thing in the world. It's the best in the world. I get to be in the dunker. And he was so happy about that in that moment. And the fact that he has not only evolved from being in the dunker, but to like truly evolved into becoming a solid, like strong shooter for the Nuggets this season just goes to show that he's not done evolving his game, shifting his game to be the best version of himself that he can be for the Nuggets. But more than that, like Gordon is always that guy that when the ball ends up in his hands, there's a moment of, oh wow, kind of surprised it's here. Kind of surprised it got to this point. Because especially for Denver, where Jokic and Murray are obviously like they are the central tenets of what happens for Denver during playoffs, during clutch, during all these situations where they get the ball in their hands, they get to shine, they get the love. And deservedly so. Like each of those guys has had some fantastic moments for the Nuggets, especially Jokic. And Murray obviously last year hit 2 buzzer beaters in much the same way that Gordon just did. So Gordon doesn't get a lot of these opportunities. He doesn't get this. Like this is not something that often comes to him. He's very rarely in position where this is something that happens for him. But I wrote this article and I wanted to make sure to get this out there on milehighsports.com. Make sure to go check it out. Gordon was in the same spot that he's always in. And I think that that's an underrated aspect of this. That this time he got the credit. This time he got the opportunity to shine. And it's great. And it's awesome. And like he deserves the opportunity to shine. But more than that, Gordon gets the opportunity because he was doing the same thing that he always does. Because kind of like how pro athletes describe, like they self-describe the work that gets put in, the opportunities that get put into everything here. Gordon does that every single time, every single possession, and this is the opportunity that he got for it. Like people aren't going to go to the tip in that he had in the first quarter and give him the same love, obviously. They're not going to go to the even the turnaround jumper that he hit with about 5:40 left in the game, which was a clutch shot. Just another one of those buckets that if you don't get that one, you may not win. The chase down block that he had on Kawhi Leonard in the clutch, like just amazing plays. And he's not going to get credit for those. And I'm often very liable for this, where I hyper focus on some of the ideal moments where Jokic and Murray have the ball in their hands, or Christian gets a big play or something like that. Be like, yes, that's awesome. That's great. And too often I kind of let Aaron Gordon slip through the cracks a little bit as just taking him for granted, something that he does all the time. This is just his job. It's just what he does. And yet it's for that reason that I think his jersey is going to be put up in the rafters one day for Denver. He's now been here for the better part of 5 seasons, and time flies, right? Like 5 seasons, that's crazy. Now, the first season that he was here, he was obviously a shortened year. He was in the middle of the year traded to Denver from Orlando. So it's only actually been like really 4 calendar years of time. But he's been a part of 5 separate playoff runs. And there were failures early, including from him. He's still trying to figure out exactly how he could impact the team. You had the big run in 2023. You have massive opportunities in 2024 that don't go down. He had good moments, he had bad moments. And now you're here in 2025. But through it all, Gordon has evolved and kind of placed himself into a situation where he can take on more responsibility when needed, but it's not necessarily the right call all the time. Most of the time, it is just do what you're doing. Just be the consistent metronome that you've been for the team the entire time. Provide effort, provide intensity, amp it up in the playoffs, and let's see what happens. But it just feels to me like Gordon's always been a little bit underrated in Denver, of course. Like, I think a lot of people think of Porter as the 3rd best player on the team. He's not. Like, he hasn't been for a while. Um, but there are also opportunities where Gordon is the 2nd best guy on the team, where he's the 2nd most important guy. And I can even admit that as somebody who has supported Murray tooth and nail for a lot of his career. Like Gordon, just the ability to step up in these moments is really, really important. And he is somebody that the NBA should be celebrating because he was a high round draft pick, somebody who was incredibly talented, somebody who had to take a role. It wasn't quite working out in Orlando, whether it was his fault or not. Like it wasn't quite what he expected, what the team expected to be. And so rather than continue to try to fight the upward battle of being your own star, getting your own team, doing the things that you want to do, he did the things that were needed in Denver. And he has consistently done the things that are needed. And so he'll always get that, like, he'll always get that love from a certain amount of fans, but he'll always kind of have some of that go through the cracks on other fans as well. I'll tell you that our Serbian brothers, they love Aaron Gordon. They've always loved Aaron Gordon. He always does his job. He's always there for Jokic. He's extremely supportive, and he's willing to kind of step aside and allow Jokic the opportunity to shine. And yet, in the biggest moment of the game, in game 4, it was Aaron Gordon putting himself in position to help Nikola Jokic that won them the game. And so I'm just very happy for him. He's had a really tough year, both physically, mentally, emotionally, like all the above. And so I'm just glad that he gets to have this moment, glad that he gets this opportunity to shine a little bit. And I'm curious to see where it goes from here. He's so valuable to who the Nuggets are, and it's going to be very fascinating to see what happens going forward with him. Um, okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of Game 4. Jokic specifically, just amazing in this game. And we'll get into some other news and notes as well. We'll be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, back at it. Pickaxe and Roll. Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's get into this. I didn't even share any numbers with AG. It wasn't really necessary, of course, because it's not about the numbers with him. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal and a block. Helped hold Kawhi Leonard to 10 of 22 from the field. 24 points on 22 shots. Yeah, the Nuggets can win a game when that happens. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that they can win a game when it's like that. So great stuff from AG. He absolutely deserved it. Just a massive performance. The Nuggets starters as a whole. Let's talk about this a little bit. 43 minutes for Gordon, 42 for Michael Porter. We'll get into him in just a little bit. 43 for Jokic. He played the entire second half. 42 for Murray, 43 for Brown. That's a lot. Anytime you get into a situation where those guys are all playing more than 42 minutes, it's very, very good that the Nuggets have 2 days off. Like today is a dead day for them. They traveled back last night, I'm sure. And today is just a relaxed day. Do not come to the arena. Do whatever you need to do to kind of take a break. And Denver's just going to have to recover because there's just a lot that the starters specifically have to deal with. Peyton Watson played 13 minutes off the bench. Jalen Pickett played 6. DeAndre Jordan played 5. Flacco Chanchar played 2 in a very big surprise. The fact that Zeke Najee's not able to get out there in this series is kind of wild. Julian Strother didn't get an opportunity. But Denver's really just going with their starters. I wonder if in Game 5, David Adelman tries a little bit of different stuff and tries to get somebody else on the floor. But I don't know. It's pretty clear to me that the Nuggets are going to be the team that runs out of gas at the end of this series unless they are able to find some opportunities for other guys within the next couple of games. We will see what it looks like there. But let's talk about Jokic. Let's talk about Jokic. This is why Jokic is who he is. James Harden had a game in Game 1 that the Clippers lost. Kawhi had a game in Game 2 that the Clippers won. The Clippers as a whole just were better in Game 3, and so much so that I got rid of my priors and said, yeah, I think the Clippers are going to win this series, despite the fact that I had previously said, yeah, I think they win Game 3 in a blowout. So just insane waffling from me. Just very annoyed at myself for the way that I've kind of talked about this last couple of games. But Denver needed Game 4 to be a Jokic game. They needed it to be either a Jokic or a Murray game, and it certainly was not a Murray game. Jokic, 36 points in 43 minutes, 14 of 25 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line. Missed a clutch free throw that definitely hurt them, but ultimately it's just nice to see Denver like in a position where they could succeed at the end. And Jokic helped get them there, especially with that third quarter. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in the third quarter alone. Finished the game with 36 points, 21 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Just a monster game. and probably could have had a couple of extra assists, as often happens where, yeah, I mean, you don't always get the assists cashed based off of guys hitting or missing shots. But Denver as a whole, 10 of 29 from three, 11 of 16 from the free throw line. Didn't necessarily shoot that well, turned the ball over a couple of extra times, but Jokic helped get them through. And because they were able to be up by 20 at the end of the third quarter, that was effectively what they needed. Jokic did not have a great fourth quarter. He didn't have a lot of touches and shot attempts in the fourth quarter. The Clippers, for that time, they basically went zone, and Kawhi Leonard was guarding Jokic for a lot of that time rather than Zubats. And I thought that that was interesting. And also that it was interesting that the Clippers went back to Zubats in the clutch. They decided, you know what, screw it. We are not going to play zone in this situation. We are going to play man, and we're going to play man with Ivica Zubats on him instead. But Kawhi was making an impact in terms of denying some of his drives, denying some of the spots on the floor that he wanted to get to. And as much as Jokic would like to just kind of power through Kawhi, that wasn't really a viable situation when he played the entire second half, for one. But also you've got Zubats just roaming in the paint right behind Kawhi. So not necessarily a great situation at any point in time for him, but he was able to make it work. He bullied his way into the paint on several occasions, but some of the threes that he hit were also ridiculous, and just the overall skill level that it takes to be able to make those shots, including the Sombor shuffle that he hit on the baseline in like with 16 seconds left. Like, he is one of the most skilled shooters that we have ever seen. And the fact that it took this long to kind of get it going a little bit, hopefully he can maintain some of this pace in games 5, 6, and hopefully they don't need a 7. That would be great. But just in general, the Nuggets needed everything that they got from Jokic tonight, and they're probably going to need just as much or more in the games to come. Christian Brown, much better game in this one. I don't know what Christian Brown said to Harden. I don't think he said anything, honestly. I think that Harden was just taking a little bit of exception to the physical defense that he had been played, and Harden was really struggling in this one first quarter, second quarter, even into the third quarter, just not very good. And Christian Brown had made a lot of important plays. Kind of got into Harden's head a little bit, and doing like the Christian Brown thing that we thought he would be doing kind of out of the draft. That was sort of the skill set on him, the scouting report on him was, yeah, he's going to get under your skin a little bit, kind of. I don't know who's a good example of this. Not like maybe Dylan Brooks, I guess. Like that's a little bit of it, but with him being, it's funny, like trying to cast Christian Brown as the villain in any situation is really tough, because he's got no facial hair. He is still got a very young looking face, and he looks so like innocent in all of this. So it's just very funny to try to think of him as the villain, but he's got to get the tats. He's got to do something to really change that persona, I think. But holy cow, man, he had a really good game. Did not shoot well. 1 of 8 from 3. 1 of 7 from 3, excuse me. That is obviously not good enough. And there were some big misses that he had in the fourth quarter where if he hits them, then Denver's in a way better position. But 8 of 19, 1 of 7 from 3. It really is like, okay, he went 7 of 12 on twos, and that's a little bit better. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, including like some really heroic blocks. Just a very, very impressive defensive game, I thought. And so there's a lot of folks and a lot of Nuggets fans that don't think that he can defend James Harden. I'm here to tell you that he can. Defending Harden is not necessarily about like anything disruptive, anything in particular. You just have to be around for the entire time and allow Harden to kind of make some mistakes. If you are always there, if you are always being physical, if you are always just applying a little bit of pressure, Harden will break a little bit. So I'm curious to see how that kind of evolves over the course of this, but I think that he can definitely, like, he has done some stuff. Harden did not have a good game. The fourth quarter, he was a lot better, but a lot of it was Denver was over rotating and he was kicking out to some shooters. But 15 points on 11 shots for Harden and 4 turnovers, like -4 in this game. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think Denver would take that every day of the week. Now, to be fair, he might have had more assists if guys like Chris Dunn and Nico Batum, like each of them went 1 of 6 from three. Like those are big shots, and they were ones that the Clippers had been hitting before, and now they didn't. So could they go back to hitting those shots in Game 5, 6, 7? Sure, um, but we will see. We will see what it looks like. We got a super chat from Mr. Exquisite Nugget. Harden a troublemaker. Ryan CB/AG were cool. Totally agree. Like I've never been a fan of Harden's game for obvious reasons. Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon kind of standing up on business a little bit, and just really, really impressive moments for both of those guys. Christian kind of at the half court standing up and giving him that smirk. That is the Christian that we were promised in terms of the attitude, the willingness to kind of stir up a little bit of trouble with how hard you're playing, and didn't back down at all. Like there was no reason for him to back down. And Harden got right up in his face and he's like, "What?" So pretty funny stuff and good stuff. Thank you for the super chat. Always appreciate it. I guess we should talk about that moment now. Gordon nearly got ejected in like right before halftime, and I was very interested to see what the actual ramifications of that would be. As it turns out, it was basically one tech for everybody that was involved and move on. Zubats held back Aaron Gordon, who, like, after James Harden swiped at him, it wasn't with a closed fist or anything, but he swiped at him and could have been ejected, but didn't actually close the fist. And I think the refs were trying to avoid ejecting anybody in that moment. But then you've got Michael Porter, who was on the bench in that situation, coming onto the floor a little bit, like not a lot. He didn't get involved in the play or anything like that. If he had, then yeah, he's probably being suspended in Game 5. But he basically, all of that happened at mid-court on the other side of the court. And Michael Porter kind of goes from the Nuggets bench area to their paint area. Wanted to get involved, but ultimately the coaches held him back. You guys aren't going to like this, but by the letter of the law, Michael Porter should probably be suspended for Game 5. I don't think he should be suspended for Game 5 because he didn't do anything. Like there was nothing, like he didn't instigate anymore. He got a little bit like mentally like up there. He was a little bit distracted, obviously, by watching Aaron Gordon take a punch in the face was what it looked like from his vantage point, I'm sure. And instead of any penalty, I think that they should just like fine him and move on. They should fine anybody that kind of came away from the bench area. But given the letter of the law, given the actual rules that came down after Malice at the Palace, Michael Porter should probably be suspended for Game 5. Nuggets fans don't want that. Obviously, nobody wants that. Michael Porter doesn't want that. Clippers fans do want that because they want an advantage in this situation. I saw Lakers fans were like trying to hop on the Clippers bandwagon for some reason because they're hate watching the Nuggets. That was weird. But it does seem like if you're calling things to the letter of the law, that Michael Porter could face some discipline here. Hopefully this is not going to happen because Denver can't win without him. Like, and this is not like just a specific Michael Porter thing, although he played a pretty good game in Game 4. He played 42 minutes, and the Nuggets simply don't have the minutes to go around with everybody else. and the burden for those other guys to kind of take on, especially if Russell Westbrook is going to be out. So we will see what happens. But if Denver misses 42 minutes of Aaron Gordon, who had 17 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 4 of 7 from three, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, some pretty big points, some pretty big moments. If they miss that from him, they're probably going to lose game 5. And that would be very, very stressful. So hopefully the league has some leniency here, given the opportunities to, yeah, like I'm very, very much hoping that the league has some leniency. But this is a talking point, unfortunately. So I'm hopeful that they do this, or they sweep it under the rug. Don't even need to talk about it anymore. So everybody's like, shut the hell up, Ryan, for even talking about it in the first place. I'm sure the league is listening to my podcast. They're definitely come on, guys. So okay. Good game from Brown. Great game from Gordon, elevated by the big moment. Jokic, fantastic. Porter, pretty solid. Murray, not so solid. He needs to be better. The Nuggets need Murray to have a moment in game 5. And not surprising, because like when you have 13 points on 17 shots, you turn the ball over at half court in a clutch situation, and you have an extra turnover after that. He got cooked a little bit on defense in the clutch as well. Yeah, like I think fans were very frustrated with Murray and the overall shot making that he brought to the table. He did make a clutch 3. He did make a clutch pull up 2 in those moments as well, but a 5 of 17 is just not good enough. Like he has to be better if he's going to be the shot maker for Denver. And like he wasn't able to get free in a lot of these situations. I have some sympathy for him, especially when he's staggering with the second unit. But when you're out there with all the starters, you just have to play better. Like it's just straight up. And I think he would say the same thing. Now, he did have 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. It wasn't like he didn't do anything while he was out there. And that's where the nuance kind of gets lost on the fan base a little bit. Like, yeah, the shooting wasn't good. Full stop. But he also did some other things to help the Nuggets win the game, including the setups to Jokic on a lot of these possessions. So it's tough. Like you want to be able to properly criticize somebody, but you also want to know that like Murray has always responded in these situations, and I expect him to respond pretty well this next time. He needs to have a good game in front of the home crowd, especially if Westbrook isn't playing, especially like hypothetically, if Porter isn't playing, you need Murray to step up, just straight up, plain and simple. He hasn't had one of those explosive games yet in this series, and I'm curious to see whether he's able to put that back out there in game 5. Going to be fascinating to see how they handle it. Can they get any bench support at all? Like Peyton Watson, frankly, just probably has to play more. I think that there are reasons why he's not. I don't want to get into them too in depth, but I think that there's been a little bit of frustration just in terms of him being able to fit in, do his job, kind of like take on the Aaron Gordon role at a lot of times, but not necessarily doing it to the degree that he could be doing it. But it's pretty clear that he wants to win. He wants to do what's necessary. And so I hope that he can continue to find opportunities to make plays. He hasn't made a 3, I don't think, in this series. That would be pretty helpful if he did, but he also just doesn't take a lot of shots in the first place. So he's got to get involved in other ways. Only 13 minutes, so didn't have a lot of opportunities to get involved, but he's got to be contesting everything. He has to be blocks and steals magnet. He has to be somebody that runs in transition. And so hopefully the Nuggets can take advantage of some good energy from him. Game 5, to me, it's going to be about the bench. And maybe Westbrook is back and he could be a part of that as well. But it's going to be about, can the Nuggets give at least a little bit of energy? Can somebody provide a little bit of energy, a little bit of spark to take some of the pressure off of the starters? Because 42 to 43 minutes across the board for the starters, it's just not a good situation to be in. They're playing and looking like the New York Knicks right now, where those guys are 43 to 45 minutes pretty much every game, depending on like very little. Like it's just that's going to be the situation. So curious to see how they handle it. Curious to see what it looks like. But Denver needs a win. This is now a 3-game series. This is now an opportunity for Denver to step up, win 2 of the next 3, and move on to the series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, that's not a super enticing situation to be in, but if you're Denver, like, you have the opportunity that if you are able to get through this series, you've had success against OKC before. They're going to be tough. They're going to be relentless. This is a good opportunity to kind of test yourself, and that if Denver is able to get through the Clippers, then they should be battle tested to be able to at least try to match up with OKC. We'll see what happens. We'll see what they can do. But look, best of 3. Can Denver win the next 2 games? I gosh, I don't know if they can. I think they can. I think that they have the capability to, but it's just going to be about finishing. It's going to be about setting the table for yourself, putting yourself into the right position, and then being able to get it done. I think they can do it, but the question is, will they? So we'll see. We'll find out together. I'm looking forward to figuring it out. But for now, that is going to do it, folks, for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends at Mile High Sports, I guess. I had a good time at number 38 yesterday. If you are looking for a place to go watch a game, it's a great environment. Lots of folks, lots of seating, lots of opportunity to go sit down, have a beer, or to go get some fun food and just do a whole bunch of different stuff. Everybody, thank you for tuning into the show. Really appreciate the love and support on the podcast as always. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I will talk to you guys very soon.